I'm going to call the meeting for the Bucyrus City Council to order, 7 p.m., September 5th, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
McKeever.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Wireball.
Here.
Potter.
Here.
Sherrick.
Here.
Spiegel.
Here.
Young.
Here.
All right, you have before you the August 22nd, 2023 regular council meeting minutes. Does anybody have any additions or corrections?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Myers, a second by Mr. Potter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. You also have before you the July 18th regular council committee meeting minutes. Does anybody have any additions or corrections?
I'll move to accept. A second.
I have a motion by Mr. Spiegel, a second by Mr. Young. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have before you also the July 5th, 2023 regular council committee meeting minutes. I'm sorry, just council meeting minutes, not committee. Does anybody have any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Wireball. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Granting permission for visitors to speak.
Vicki Dishon, 1108 Hillcrest Drive, Bucyrus. At the July 31st, 23 council meeting, the Service Safety Director's report on mill and pave stated, and I quote, a few punch list items are left, and then the project will be completed. The streets that were not able to be done this year were put on Part B of the mill and pave project list 2024, end of quote. Councilperson Sherry questioned why those streets not done in 2023 were put on Part B for 2024 and not in front of. No answer was received since both the mayor and Service Safety Director were absent from the meeting. I would like to read the signed petition that was provided to both the interim law director and Service Safety Director's offices the first part of August 2023 for Pleasant Hill Drive, which was listed on the 3-year mill and pave plan for 2023, but not done. To date, responses to the petition have not been received from Mr. Gernert or Mr. Wagner. To the city officials of Bucyrus, Ohio, we the residents of Pleasant Hill Drive, Bucyrus, Ohio, or residents having driveway access to Pleasant Hill Drive, Bucyrus, Ohio, have requested the city to blacktop our street for several years, but there has always been an excuse of why it is put off until the next year, and then the next year, and so on. The street has been patched many times, a small patch here and there in some areas. Those patches don't last and really create a lot of small stones after patch deteriorates. The patching later creates dust and a lot of small stones on the street. It is especially bad on the curve of Pleasant Hill Drive. There is a large hole that fills with water after it rains. City crews told us it needs more than patching as too large a hole. Weeds are growing in the cracks of the blacktop in some areas. There are also large potholes that have been patched a lot at the end of Pleasant Hill Drive towards Tiffin Street. Patching doesn't last long. This street is a city-owned street. In the year 2000, a quitclaim deed was signed by Jim Schieber, residing at 540 Tiffin Street, and James and Patricia Ash, residing at 300 Pleasant Hill Drive. This agreement to the city stipulated that to have a new water line put in, we had to sign the road over to the city. Apparently, it was privately owned at that time, but it is not now. Jim Schieber is deceased. James and Patricia Ash have lived at 300 Pleasant Hill Drive for 55 years. Since the hospital has Hill Street and Plants Way non-accessible to ordinary traffic, we see a lot of traffic on Pleasant Hill Drive. We are requesting Pleasant Hill Drive be blacktopped rather than be patched. We feel we are taxpayers and are deserving of this. It is a city-owned street and has a lot of activity used by city residents other than those that live on this street. Thank you for your consideration. If anyone would be interested, I did take a number of pictures of the potholes on Pleasant Hill Drive if you wanted to review. And I also would like to ask the question, were there any streets not listed on the 2023 three-year mill and pave plan that were done in 2023? So I'm not sure if that's a question to the Service Safety Director or to the Mayor.
Can you repeat the question? Thank you.
Were there any streets not listed on the 2023 three-year mill and pave plan that were done in 2023? In other words,
Okay.
there was a three-year plan listing of the
And none of
streets.
this, you want to know if we added a street that wasn't on there?
Correct.
Okay, I can't answer that. We'll get an answer for you on Thursday.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the year of that quitclaim deed?
2000.
So just to add to your story, I got a phone call from a resident up there, and I went and spoke with the service director, and then I went and drove it myself. He didn't have the answer for me yet about where it was going to fall on the list next year, but he said he would get back to me on that. But I will also say, Mr. Mayor, if Plants Way is not on the list, when I was up there looking at that, Plants Way is just as in deplorable condition. That's the road we're taking everybody into our hospital on.
Okay.
Now, Plants Way was or is on the list for the three-year mill and pave plan.
Yeah.
But now, when you go to the list on the city's website, it's disappeared. But I have noticed there are a couple streets listed now on that website that were not on the 2023 three-year mill and pave plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive. Once again, I stand before this council about the wastewater treatment plant. As you can remember, that I feel that option 2 is not in the best interest of the residents and for future businesses wanting to come to our city. Our current mayor is not looking to the future of the city of Bucyrus. He has stated on numerous occasions that business want to come into our city and that they need to build more housing. And he stated we need to build more housing for our city. But we don't have a wastewater treatment plant that meets that need. Option 2 is only going to fix the existing plant and add only 400,000 gallons of waste per day to this plant. Remember that this plant is 84 years old, and is the 400,000 gallons per day going to meet the needs of the future of this city? Also, only 2 of you council members might be back next year. The rest of you are all gone and coming back under a new administration. The treatment plant has had issues for, at least I was told, been over 4 years plus of problems. Now you want to put a Band-Aid on a facility that has already met its purpose in life. The cost of building a new plant for the future of this city is nothing over a 30-year note and the possibility of the Ohio EPA to fund more of this project. I said before that this is a wrong approach to this issue. As you all know, the people have rights to let their elected officials know what they disagree with them. But you have failed on this issue. If the residents want to take this and place it on the ballot, they have that right. I hope that some of you will look at this issue before voting yes. For the future of this city, building a new plant is the best option to improve and would not cost that much more for a new plant for us, a new plant versus something that is past its prime. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. White, that 400,000 gallon is going to be
the increase on the plant itself. But when you get all the water separated from the city, that's gonna flow down below to where it's at. And there's gonna be plenty of room in between that.
But you still got an 84-year-old plant that's past its prime.
But talk to Tim. Tim says it'll work. He's the guy that knows out there, and I know because I worked out there.
I understand that, I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's-
but I'm saying is that 400,000 is only going to increase it
You're looking at a
now.
difference of $17 million of building a new plant possibility versus putting a Band-Aid on an 84-year-old structure, okay?
It's not one structure.
Well,
It's a lot of structures.
Well, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
it's still 84 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
A new plant would
Not
be-
all of it is.
New plant would be far better for the future. If you want businesses,
Well,
and you want to improve the housing like the mayor has stated.
Well, I think it's gonna
numerous
be-
conversations during council meetings, okay?
You
I
talked to-
I got the tapes.
You
don't
talk
worry.
to Tim about it.
I will, I'll
Tim
go-
says
I'll
it'll
go.
work.
But I'm saying
So-
is, it's $17 more million of building a brand-new plant versus an 84-year-old structure that was built in '39, and you're gonna put a Band-Aid on it?
It's not a Band-Aid.
Okay, but the only thing is, building a new structure that will last 40, 50, 60, 70 years
Where are you gonna
possibility?
put it at, though?
Huh?
Where are you gonna buy it? Where are you gonna put it? There's no room to put it out there.
There's land, I'm
Oh,
telling you,
that's it.
there's land.
Okay.
I already looked it up.
Hey, real quick,
Yep.
looking at the new buildings today and all of the issues that they're having with new building versus some of the old buildings, a structure like that plant being in as good a condition as it's in and being maintained appropriately would be a lot better than putting up a new building that's just half the supplies are made to fall apart. I mean, we are in a throwaway society. We weren't in a throwaway society.
I think if you construct things right, it will last.
But unfortunately, you're looking at the difference of how things are constructed. Look at how the roads last when they get repaved now with what they use now versus what they did before. So
It's immaterial to the
you're all,
fact because.
no, not if it's a better facility altogether. Fixing an old thing is often better times.
Prove to the residents it's a better facility than building.
And a lot of us can't afford what is gonna happen to us in the first place.
That's right. We'll let the voters know.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Just state your name and address if you would when you get up there.
I'm James Pahl, and I live on East Rensselaer Street, 610 East Rensselaer. I'm up here and I'd like to complain about the residential area around the house in there. You got 4 houses in the same place where I'm at, one beside me, one beside that, 2 across the street. They're all going to hell and back. There's 2 of them, but one right beside me, the window's busted out. The place is falling apart, it's rotted. The house alongside that has people living in there. There for a while, they didn't have no water. They lived there for a long time. As far as I know, they ain't got no furnace. There's people living in there. They have an outdoor pool, which is no big deal to me. But according to you guys' rules and regulations, you gotta have a fence around it, which there's no fence. But I don't care, there's no kids around other than the child that lives there. All right, and then you got 2 places across the street that belong to a manual surgeon, which he has passed away. But for some reason, why does the man, before he passed away, let all his property taxes go to rearage? Regardless if he's a preacher or not. Property taxes are property taxes. Whoever owes property taxes has to pay them. If I was not to pay my property taxes, what's going to happen? You guys are going to come and foreclose my house on each. See, that's what I want to know. And there's so many houses just in my neighborhood that's falling apart. It makes our property go down in value. We need to do something about this. The city has come down, boarded up 2 places that belong to Mansell. The city paid for it and put them up. All they did was put boards up around the windows. Some windows are busted out on the property. Nobody's going to do nothing about it. Nobody wants to do anything about it. Neighbors are mowing the property around there just to make it look halfway decent for us. Why is this? I want to know why. What can you guys do about this? Why is everything going so bad, deterioration, without anybody complaining about it? Last time I heard, they was going to tear down the ice plant and put a freaking park in there. Why? Don't you think the residential property needs to be taken care of before an ice plant does?
Sir, that was private, that's privately purchased, that has nothing to do with the city. That is owned by the Bicentennial Commission, which is a privately funded group. The city has no ties
Okay,
to it.
that's fine, as long as the city ain't paying to get it tore down.
The
They're not.
city's not paying a
Okay,
dime.
that's my main concern right there, is I heard that the ice plant was getting torn down by the city, that's all I'm referring to.
Well,
right
we'll
now.
correct you right there.
It's through
That's fine. I
it's through a
understand.
grant that the County Land Bank has established, that the state of Ohio has given money to all 88 counties. That's how the ice plant is being torn down, no city funds.
Okay,
As far as the Surgeoner properties go, I will tell you that after he passed, probate and everything, the County Land Bank is looking at getting involved with his properties as well, and that's all being looked at. Obviously, things happen at the speed of government, so it's not happening fast.
okay, I
It is
understand that
happening.
also, but the
My other-
property right beside me does not belong to Surgeoner.
And my next question with those, have you filed any type of complaint with our property maintenance division?
Yes, I have.
Okay, because that's the first step.
I have filed a complaint with him, what's his name, Grover, I think? it
Yeah,
is?
Gordon
Yes,
Grove.
I talked to him here last spring, I talked to him. Told him about it, he checked out several, things that I complained about. But the house alongside me belongs to Indian Valley, and the place is falling apart. I mean, the storm will come up, blow the window right off the building, right out alongside my air conditioner, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the maintenance guy comes down there and mows the yard, he picks up the window, sets it up alongside the house and carries on. I mean, why is this?
That's a good question. And the gentleman who could have possibly had a few more answers isn't here tonight. Mr. Gerner had a death in the family. So,
Madam President?
yes.
Yes, Mr. Spall, if you can give me your contact information, I'll follow up with Gordon tomorrow. Do you know the addresses and what block those are in?
Well, I live at 610 East Rensselaer, so it'd be the house right next to me, the house right next to that one towards the railroad
Same side of
tracks.
the road?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's two houses right across the street from me where,
Gordon Grove keeps, if he's been there, he'll have files on it. He turns them over to the law director, and then it has to go. We have to send letters, and there's a procedure that we have to go to. Once it goes, then it goes to the county, and then, so the same way on foreclosure, the city doesn't foreclose, that's the county that forecloses. So I understand it's very frustrating. It's frustrating for us too.
I've only lived down there for 2 years,
Yeah,
okay, and
yeah.
it's getting worse.
It's very frustrating, that's why we hired Gordon Grove to do this. It just, unfortunately, it doesn't work. Like, who said it's the speed of government? Kevin did, so it's because there's steps that go, and unfortunately, we have some of these landlords that, even before they passed, they didn't take care of their places.
Right.
And it's a constant,
I know
it's a
this.
constant
Yes.
battle. So can you give John your phone
Yeah,
number?
Give John your phone number.
Okay.
So that we aren't publishing it for everybody,
Right.
brother, so that Mr. Mayor can get with
We'll get back with you.
with
I
Mr. Groves
apologize
and get back
about,
with you.
That sounds like a good idea.
very
I
frustrating.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
all of us
Thanks
have
for coming up.
situations like that in our neighborhood. It's very frustrating, so I
Yeah, but
appreciate.
I'm not the only one that has issues with this, okay, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you know the other person who does, so.
Well, we have some issues like this around town. The land bank has been very helpful. Having Gordon on staff has been very helpful. It just takes a while. No, it's not a good answer, but
Right, but I mean,
then you
but
got to
the
go
thing-
through.
I understand with
Yeah.
the land bank and stuff, but the property beside me has been vacant for at least 12 years from what I've been understanding, okay? Why is this? The door's been kicked open, people's been in and out there, I don't know how many times.
Yeah. Do you know who owns that one?
Indian Valley does.
Okay.
That place is going to hell in a handbag, that's all there is to it.
Ron Worcester.
Yeah. Okay.
We dealt with these owners
Yeah.
that you're talking about, these properties. Unfortunately, our hands keep getting tied by the courts. We bring it to the court, and we're,
I can give you pictures of what the place looks like right
I'm not doubting you a bit, because we've dealt with this person who owns Indian Valley, and we've had, I don't know how many properties in town that person owns, and several of them were on West Mansfield that are no longer there because of fire
Yeah,
or whatever
I
else.
understand, right.
And we have been able to acquire some of his properties to tear them down. So we're, it's an ongoing battle. We're working on it, I promise you.
Well, I hope so.
Well, it's
I don't want
not
my place
good,
tore down
it's-
either, all right? But all right,
I'll
thank you
get
very
back
much.
with you. I'll have Gordon go out tomorrow and inspect everything again, get the numbers, and then call you back with where the steps are in the process.
All right, that sounds good. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, communications and petitions. We have received in the clerk's office a request for liquor license. Sujo LLC, 642 Woodlawn Avenue, first floor and patio. Needs to be referred to
Health and safety.
Health and
I'll
safety.
move to send that to health and safety.
second that.
I have a motion by Mr. Myers, a second by Ms. Sherrick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we also have, I'm not sure where this goes. It's a letter. Yeah, I think it's just to let us know. Dear friends of Crawford County's children are barely back in school, but here at our agency, we're already thinking about Christmas and are beginning to plan our Adopt a Child for Christmas program. The children assisted by this program are from Crawford County and are in foster care or receiving protective services from the agency. Due to the generosity of people like you, this program has been successful in granting Christmas wishes to numerous Crawford County children aged 0 to 18. We can only accomplish this with the help of organizations and individuals in our community. On behalf of our children, the agency is requesting a donation of wrapped gifts for a specific child or children. You may choose a gender and age of the child, and we'll do our best to provide you with a child in this category. We will also provide you with a wish list completed by or on behalf of the child to, excuse me, to help with ideas of gifts. When shopping, we request an expenditure of $100 for each child. Please wrap the gifts and drop them off at 224 Norton Way prior to December 4th, 2023. If you're unable to deliver the gifts, someone will come to you. If you can help this year, please complete the enclosed form, which we have, and return it by October 13th. We will send you information on the child or children you will be adopting. Regardless of your decision, we thank you so much for the opportunity to tell you about our agency's plans for our children at Christmas time. If you have questions, you can contact Beth Sargent or Brooke Scheffler at Crawford County JFS.
Madam President.
Yes.
I request that the clerk send that to each of us individually so that if we so choose, we can take care of that.
Can do that.
Not collectively as a group, but we can do those individually if we so want to.
Madam President,
Yes.
who was that addressed to?
That was addressed to Dear Friends of Crawford County's Children.
Okay, can I get a copy of it?
Sure. Sent
Maybe-
to
just to-
council.
Maybe we
and-
could put that on the website?
Sure. We
Okay.
can make sure, yeah.
Good advertising.
We got a
Alright,
thumbs
it's
up
set
from
up.
the website room.
Bonnie also.
Was there a thumbs
Yeah,
up
there's
from
a
the
thumbs
media?
up.
All right, awesome.
That's all we had, so
Council,
one thumbs up there.
Mayor, and
How about all elected officials in Bonnie? Would you do that?
all elected?
Miranda?
Okay.
I'd have a motion
Thank
to
you.
accept that.
I'll second that.
Next.
Get the word out.
All right, you guys are moving fast here, hang on. Officials. Accept and file. I have a motion by Terry, a second by Ms. Sherrick. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. There you go. Do we have any other communications or petitions? Seeing none. Standing committee reports, plating.
Nothing at this time.
Public lands and buildings,
Nothing at this time.
health and safety,
No report.
finance,
No report.
economic development,
No report.
service,
No report.
traffic commission,
No report.
rolling along. All right.
So you have a mayor's report.
Okay, then we're gonna move on to the mayor's report.
All right, well, thank you very much. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Unofficial end of summer has just passed, and now we turn our sights to readying ourselves and city for some important fall events that we don't want to overlook. This week, this Saturday is the annual Suicide Prevention March, and there's information on our city website, and we'll have it on our Facebook page too. A couple other events coming up pretty quickly. The fly-in at the airport. I know some of you have been in that in the past. It's a great time to get together, and always good crowds, and see some aircraft that you normally wouldn't see. Pancake breakfast too. That'll be on Saturday the 16th. We'll also have information out on our website. Spooktacular is always a blast, and always a lot of work, and we're glad when it's done, but
Planning's well underway, and stay tuned for more details about everything on this, so.
Do we have a date for Spooktacular yet?
Yes, Bonnie, is it the 21st?
Yeah.
21st, okay, thank you.
From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Yeah, we're moving it up a little bit to take advantage of the daylight a little bit more, so we're moving up 1 hour. So, the Bicentennial Commission has some good news. The demolition of the former ice plant at no expense to the city is coming soon. Asbestos remediation is well underway, and demolition of the building will begin shortly after that remediation is finished. And we thank all the volunteers who serve in this important commission. I hope this is a nice entryway that we can start developing our riverfront some between there and Lane Street, and make it more attractive. And we've talked about possibly putting some walking paths in there. Park improvements have been a focal point of our administration for the last 9 years, and I do want to say I've been, disappointed that we haven't been able to fund out the park system better. I made a presentation to City Council a couple of years ago. I think everybody was on board about putting a levy on the ballot, but unfortunately, COVID kind of hit, and then issues with EMS, and then we put a safety forces levy on in instead. But the appearance and quality of our parks is due to a very good staff. Jeff Wagner leads the parks. It's an important job, and Jeff Dunn does a great job. His guys do a fantastic job out there. But where would it be without a lot of the individual volunteers as well as service organization? See what happened this year with the splash pad, and if you look at the Field of Dreams, what Rotary's done out there, we have a beautiful park system. All Miller Park leads as our gem, but there's all the other parks are nice too. But I've been thinking about how to get the parks on a more solid financial footing, and I'd like to refer a discussion to Public Lands and Buildings and the Finance Committees about possibility of establishing two things. One would be a volunteer parks board, and they would advise city leaders about maintenance, improvements, making suggestions, possibly in fundraising. And I'm going to research how some other cities have parks board and just kind of figure out how that goes. There'd be a volunteer system, kind of like we do in other volunteers or planning commission and sewer and appeals, income tax appeals, all those types of things. But there's one other thing I think is even more important. I think I would like to talk about setting up a legacy fund at the Crawford County Foundation. We have about $700,000+ that was given to us by Eileen Philbin in a trust where we get the interest off of that every year. The interest rates have been very low until recently, so we were getting $7,000 and not that much. We're getting a little more now, which is good. But the cost of playground equipment, the cost of mulch, $10,000 for mulch. You put a new playground set in, you might have $500,000 to $800,000. It's extremely, extremely expensive. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you about that and maybe discuss the possibility of reaching out to people to put that park fund in their will. And I think we could raise some money and then take some pressure off of the general fund to maintain the park. So, but that's all I've got tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have a request for referral for establishing a volunteer board to Public Lands and Buildings and Finance.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Myers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Yes.
I won't be ready for that this coming Thursday
Okay.
night. Yeah. So
That's fine.
just going to do a little more research on it.
That's fine. Did you also want us to refer the legacy fund?
Yes.
All right, to finance?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Spiegel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And do you want to refer the, was there anything else?
I think that's the two things.
Just the two? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Safety Service Director,
Ma'am?
yes.
I have some questions for the mayor's
Sure.
report. 3 questions. First, is there a date that's been published for trick or treat already? Somebody asked me,
Ooh.
because I couldn't find it anywhere.
We haven't talked about it yet. I don't know if we've established
All
that. I
right,
can
is that on the list of things to get done this week?
Yeah, we can, ask me Thursday.
All right. Next question. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, the agreement that we entered into with the Crawford Partnership was included them to be here every quarter to give us an update. And if I remember correctly, we're getting ready to go into the 4th quarter of the year.
Okay.
We've been here once this year.
We've been meeting with David every 2 weeks, and so he has been here quite a bit, but yeah, I'll get him back here.
Yeah, that was part of the conversation we had at that time, that I think,
Yes,
if
we did.
we're making a lot of these decisions on things and
Yes.
we're being asked to continue to fund this through the budget process, we need to have some insight
Okay.
into what benefit
I
we're
think
getting
that's,
from
yeah,
that.
that's
I know
great.
personally that he'll be here October 3rd.
October 3rd?
Okay, already, thank you
Okay.
for that. I thought he had something scheduled.
Yeah, and I know he had some issues with his wife's health and things,
Yes.
so it's not that, it's more that,
We have
if
been.
we're spending that money, I want to
Yeah.
see where our return on investment
But he's
is.
he's here every 2 weeks to meet with our team, and then he's very faithful about that.
Yeah.
We meet for an hour and a half or so. He was here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe potentially add a council member or two into some of those meetings if we can be apprised of some
Sure.
of the goings on.
Not a problem.
My last question is, can you give us an update on the DORA? You weren't here at the
Yes,
last committee meeting when we discussed it.
The Chamber of Commerce is now going to do the door, which I think is a great fit. Chamber.
So they were, then they weren't, and now they are.
Now they are,
Okay.
yeah, yes.
Um,
Which is good, which is good. Let's
Have
just-
they given you an update on their plan for permanent signage?
They've already ordered the signs. Yeah, I already got them ordered. So ETA, I'm not sure, but they're working with Vassals, and they've got everything ordered. Already showed me the design, it looks good.
All right.
Yeah, so-
Well, they're doing them locally, so it should be
Yeah.
pretty quick. All
Yeah,
right.
it should be.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions for the mayor? All right, Safety Service Director report.
Okay, Jeff's report for tonight, driven excavating started, part of the Northwest Trunk Sewer separation last week on Hill Street between Tiffin and Plants Way. The street will be open to residents. Estimated time, if all goes well, will be 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to refer airport projects to Lands and Buildings and Finance. Kevin DeTrey and Ben Cooley from Crawford, Murphy, and Tillis, that's the MT, those are our engineers, will be here at the committee meeting Thursday, September 21st, to go over plans for the airport. The mill and pay for 2023 is just about complete. And RMH, which I don't know what that stands for, unfortunately, the concrete contractor, which they do a great job for us, has a few things to finish up in the city. Please check your AEP bills, as our rate is .0524 per kilowatt till January of 2025, thanks to some very astute negotiations on the part of Mr. Wagner. So we're getting an excellent rate, but all these other companies will either come door to door, or they will send you something and give you a $30 gift card or whatever, and then 2 months later, you're paying twice as much. So please come up. If you aren't paying that and you want to be locked in, if you want to be locked in the lowest rate, come on up. If you don't care about it, that's your business. We can help you, though, get signed up if you're actually not. Everybody is automatically in it unless they have opted out over the years, and then they're out. In other words, they've gone to somebody else. Oh, here we go, about Spooktacular. That's coming up Saturday, October 21st, 3 to 6, which we talked about. We need some donations. We need volunteers. If you are a business and would like to reserve a shelter and have something for the kids, please call us at the mayor's office, 562-6767, extension 221. Every year we have a lot of kids there. We give away a lot of free food and pumpkins, and they have a great time, and it's all funded by donations. Go ahead.
Along with that trick or treat thing, sorry, when you said spectacular, they're doing the trunk or treat at Trillium on the 28th from 2 to 4.
On the
I would say
28th?
last year or the year before, it worked really well when they did trick or treat right after that, because they did,
Oh, okay, it's 28th.
The 28th
So I'm
from
guessing
2 to
it's gonna
4.
be the 28th.
I would
So
say
they're
the
2 to 4 out
28th from
there?
2 to 4 was trunk or treat, or is trunk or treat this year. And I was just, knowing it's really nice when things fit together,
Yes.
like a puzzle. Yeah, a kid got dressed up once, they gotta do a bunch of things. But no, I mean, that way you're not doing things at the same time as something else in the community, but especially when it's for the kids, and
Sure.
it lines up and you can just keep doing, make a day of it. Just so you know, that just clicked when you said that.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay, thank you, I've got it written down here. We started interviewing today for the utility office position as well as the solid waste. There's 2 positions there, and we had 83 people signed up for a test, which is by far a new record. And only 10 people didn't show, so 73 people took the test. So we got interviews this week and next week before we get the hiring completed. The Stetzer Road 602 Waterline Project was awarded to Driven Excavating again, and they have started, but piece of equipment is broken down, and they're gonna take about a week or so to get it fixed. Where the plan is then to have a Sulphur Springs Waterline Project out to bid later this fall, and I think that's at the EPA right now. If it hasn't gone, it's pretty close to get an EPA approval. And last but not least, if you would like to hunt in the city limits, at the reservoir, wherever, I'm not thinking all the places, but you have until September, 10th, it looks like. It could be the 18th. I can't read Jeff's writing. Hey, Bonnie, is that on the website?
Yeah,
Okay, 18th, thank you. Okay, September 18th, come up and fill out an application at City Hall. That's all for our reports. Thank you, Madam President.
Does anybody have any questions about the Safety Service Director's report?
When somebody opts out of the aggregation program, when we renegotiate, are they back in or are they out permanently?
They would be out, no, not permanently. They would be out, I think it's a good question, because as long as we're with the people that we, Constellation, and we've been doing this with natural gas and AP Energy, they would probably be out. If we end up going with somebody new, they may end up going back in. That'll be something that gets, in 2025 with the next administration, we'll have to answer those questions.
I was asked that question and didn't know the answer.
Yeah, natural gas, since you brought that up too, we are really low on our natural gas. If anybody's not in our rate on natural gas, we booked out as far as we could. I think it's good for about another year yet. And we're renegotiating right now to see if we can get, natural gas prices have come down, see if we can extend it even farther. But if you're on the city program, you're gonna you're gonna save some money. It's as simple as that. Come up and see us. We get no commission on that, so it's just a benefit for our residents.
I just have a comment on that, I guess for the public, a lot of times we get calls about,
Right.
hey, I can lower your rate. Even gas and electric, first thing I say is, can you meet the city's aggregation?
Yeah.
And click, they hang up. They know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just tell them where
Yeah.
you live and say, can you meet the city? You don't even have to
And
remember
they can.
the rates, because they know.
They know. Thank you.
So.
I would like to refer the airport projects to Public Lands and Buildings and Finance.
I have a motion by Mr. Myers, a second by Mr. McKeever. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we don't have anything from Mr. Gernert, unless you have something, Mr. Mayor?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Kaylee is-
Callie is not here, she is sick
So,
and went home thusly. So, do you want me to read it? You want to read it? Rock, paper, scissors? I'll read it. You received in your council packets the revenue comparison and fund revenue comparison for August 2023. For the month of August, the Safety Forces levy is up by 24%, which is to be expected due to the most recent levy passing. Yet the income revenue for the general fund is down 12% after being up 19% last month. Overall, the combined revenue for all three funds is still down 1% even after the levy. Hopefully this changes after all employers are withholding correctly, and still this is something we should keep an eye on. She would like to refer to Finance Committee appropriating $4,500 from the sale of 2 more vehicles to material and supplies for the police department, to Finance appropriating $13,248.75 check to reimburse the initial purchase of body armor for the police department, and to finance the creation of a 2024 VOCA and SVAA funds for Victims Advocate.
I'll make a motion to.
Are you doing this collectively?
Collectively to finance. So, do you need me to list them out?
Yes, please.
Okay. So appropriating the $4,500 from the sale of 2 vehicles to material and supplies for the police department. Appropriating the $13,248.75 check to reimburse the initial purchase of body armor for the police department, and to the creation of the 2024 VOCA and SVAA funds for Victims Advocate.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Sherrick, a second by Mr. McKeever. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, may I have a motion to accept the city officers' reports as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Sherrick, a second by Mr. Potter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Granting permission for visitors to speak on reports standing in special committees and of city officers.
Vicki Dishon, 1108 Hillcrest Drive, Bucyrus. On the DORA, at our August 24th Health and Safety Committee meeting, we talked that the interim law director would be making personal contact with the chamber and partnership. Also going to send out letters to all permit holders to attend the September 7th Health and Safety Committee. That's still happening.
I don't know with him not being here, but my opinion is with the news the mayor just shared with us, it's kind of a moot point now that the chamber's taking back, because that was what we really was going to discuss, was how the cups and all of that was going to go.
Okay.
I'm still fine discussing it, yeah, but I think that it's changed the complexity of it. I don't know if he made contact with them, though, to answer your question.
Do you want me to tell you if he made contact with them?
If you know the answer,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes, I do. There were no letters sent out to the permit holders. I received a phone call from the chamber board president asking me umpteen questions, which I said to him I wasn't quite sure I was being contacted. I said, I'm not on council. He stated, questioned about coming to tonight's meeting, wanted to know if he should come, which I told him, it's not for me to say. I mean, it's a public meeting, but I told him what had happened at our Health and Safety Committee meeting, and that he should be prepared to be contacted by the interim law director, and that letters were also going to be sent out to all the permit holders, because the permit holders, we wanted them to know what was going on.
To have a voice.
Yes.
What's going on, absolutely.
I mean, we were sitting here, and I was told by Mr. Patrick, the chamber board president, that he had ordered signs from,
Vistors.
yes, from Levi. And so I questioned him. I said, so you took the design that's in the application that the city approved? Dead silence. And he's like, I wasn't aware there was a sign already.
I'll call him and invite him to Thursday's meeting.
So it's just going to be him? There's not going
Well,
to be our,
We can try to reach out to all of the permit holders, then obviously we can't send them a letter in this amount of time, but
We can email him, but he's got email though.
if you have a list of all their emails, which I
What would
guess
be
I-
your concern that for all the permit holders to attend that meeting? Just because we had talked about that before, or?
yes,
Okay.
And then so that, I think the permit holders, so they can ask the question, okay, how is the cup ordering going to happen? I mean, are they going to order them, from the chamber like they've been doing? Is the chamber going to
And I
pay
think
for them?
a meeting like that could happen independent of, outside of the council committee. I
Correct.
think that, the permit holders and the chamber could get together,
I believe
Okay.
what I heard from, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
I believe what I heard from Mr. Patrick, because I had talked to him
Sure.
the same day that you had talked to him, that the chamber had actually agreed to take back over the DORA, or take over the DORA, even before we discussed it at that meeting, that we had it. So something happened to where the agreement was made before we even had a chance to discuss it.
When I spoke with him, they had a chamber meeting the same night that we had our Health and Safety Committee meeting.
Okay.
And if I understood him correctly, because I took all my notes down of what he had to say to me, it was at that meeting that, they decided, hey, the chamber wants to do this. They were not sure who decided
Right.
that the chamber wasn't going to be involved and that the city was taking this over. I mean, the impression I got from him was he was about as,
Clueless as
what's
all of
going
us.
on here? Yeah. And so I told him, I said, it's ironic. I said, at the meeting that you're having, you're saying, we want to take it back. And at the meeting we're having, we're saying, somebody needs to take this over and the city is not going to be responsible. And the big thing, though, I think, as you mentioned, cups wasn't the issue so much as the signs.
Yeah.
We need to know, when are those signs going to be up? I thought we were going to give them a deadline as to when the signs, were going to be up. Now, Mayor, you indicated that you saw the design of the sign.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Is it what's in our application?
I don't know.
Because I do know that Mr. Patrick did say to me.
I think it's got the door starts here, the door ends here. That's what you need to put in. It's not perfect.
You would think that.
If it's not perfect, what are you being so, I don't understand why this discussion is even going on. The sign says the door starts here, City of Bucyrus, the door ends on the other side. So it's that, what's the big deal?
Because you brought an application to City Council.
I didn't bring that application, that was brought by the partnership and the Chamber of Commerce.
You signed the application.
I didn't bring it,
You submitted it to council.
Okay, it's okay, it's not a big deal. The doors, they're gonna take it over. Chamber of Commerce, when the director left, didn't wanna have anything to do with it. I stepped up and said, okay, the city can do it. Now the Chamber of Commerce wants to do it. Great, it's better that the Chamber of Commerce does it.
So you were not approached by the chamber to take it over?
Yes, well, we had a meeting and they were not interested.
their previous director just left within the last 2 or 3 months.
I didn't want the door to die. I said, okay, and the partnership at the same time had their hands full with other stuff. I said, look, we can take it over. So that's as simple as that. The door is on solid footing now. It's great. Can we just move on?
Are we still going to discuss the modifications to the DORA application?
Yeah, it's on the open project list.
Okay.
We can discuss it Thursday.
Okay, so then we are not going to have then a meeting Thursday with anybody?
I think, from my opinion, again, everybody else can chime in, but I think we'll see if Mr. Patrick's available to come, and we can make sure that he's got a copy of the application. He's got all the information he needs, and then, as we discussed previously, anything that we see the need to change, we can do that through resolution.
I will say, just as a follow-up, when I asked him if he was aware that there, was already a sign design, he did state that he was going to go right then, after he hung up the phone, and meet with the chamber, get a copy of the application, and get back down to Levi before hopefully he...
Press to print.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it sounds to me like he was thrown into this, and he's learning as he goes, and I think we'll see what we can do to help him, and
I had a great conversation with him.
get everybody on the same page. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? All right, consideration of proposed legislation for the first time.
Proposed ordinance 32, 2023, that's the appropriations to the Finance Committee. Amending and supplementing ordinance number 66-2022 being the annual appropriations ordinance for 2023 by appropriating from unappropriated general funds the sum of $9,000 to the contractual service line item and $6,000 to the materials and supplies line item, with both line items being within the lands and buildings category within the program 7 general government subparagraph, further appropriating from unappropriated general funds the sum of $15,000 to the capital outlay line item within the police department category within the program 1 security of persons and property subparagraph, further appropriating from unappropriated general funds the sum of $4,000 to the contractual services line item within the other public health services category within the program 2 public health services subparagraph, and finally appropriating from unappropriated general funds the sum of $5,000 to the material and supplies line item within the civil service category within the program 7 general government subparagraph, and declaring an emergency. And then we have proposed resolution 225-2023, that's investments referred to finance. Hereby approving the adoption of the Bucyrus City investment policy.
Can I have a motion to accept these as the first readings?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Myers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Granting permission for visitors to speak on legislation read for the first time.
Vicki Dishon, 1108 Hillcrest Drive, Bucyrus. Proposed resolution number 225-2023, which is approving the adoption of the Bucyrus City investment policy. Line 9, since this is a resolution, the word ordained should be replaced with resolved. And then line 10, since this proposed resolution is not an emergency, 2/3 should be replaced with a majority. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so you have to make those changes for the next reading?
Yep.
Okay. Consideration of proposed legislation for the second time.
Proposed ordinance 31-2023, traffic control map referred to health and safety. Amending ordinance 25-2000 in the traffic control map and file established by sections 305.01, 305.02, and 305.03 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to henceforth remove the no parking on the south side of Clinton Street for the entire length. And then we'll have proposed resolution 223-2023, that is the wastewater treatment plan. It was referred to Public Lands and Buildings. It's authorizing and directing the mayor and the Public Service Safety Director on behalf of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to proceed with Arcadis US Inc. 7575 Huntington Park Drive, Suite 130, Columbus, Ohio, 43235 for implementation of the pre-construction tasks necessary for option 2 as presented by Arcadis US Incorporated for renovations to the Bucyrus wastewater treatment plant, not to exceed $54,600,000.
All right, may I have a motion to accept these as the second reading?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Spiegel, a second by Mr. McKeever. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Granting permission for the visitors to speak on legislation read for a second time. Seeing none, referring back to originating committee, proposed ordinance 31-2023 referred back to health and safety. Proposed ordinance 32-2023 referred back to finance. Proposed resolution 223-2023 referred back to public lands and buildings. And proposed resolution 225-2023 referred back to finance. Committee report on pending legislation. Finance.
Finance is favorable to proposed ordinance 32-2023, the appropriations, and finance is also favorable to proposed resolution 225-2023, the investments.
Health and safety.
Health and safety is favorable to proposed ordinance 31-2023, the traffic control map changes.
Public lands and buildings.
Public lands and buildings is favorable to proposed resolution 223-2023 wastewater treatment plan.
Further consideration of pending legislation.
That's me.
Ordinance 32-2023 for the second and third readings of proposed ordinance 32-2023. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the readings of the caption and text, and declare an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Mr. Myers.
McKeever.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Wireball.
Yes.
Potter.
Yes.
Sherrick.
Yes.
Spiegel.
Yes.
And Young.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 32-2023?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Spiegel, a second by Ms. Sherrick.
Spiegel.
Yes.
Sherrick.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Wireball.
Yes.
And Potter.
Yes.
Ordinance 32-2023 is duly adopted. Do we have any old or unfinished business? None. We already addressed the liquor control notice and referred it to health and safety. And the letter for jobs and family services is going to be distributed. We have no council members missing. We have referrals. You have the list over there, if I may. Thank you. Liquor control notice for public hearing to health and safety, airport projects to public lands and buildings and finance, establishing a volunteers park board to public lands and buildings and finance, legacy fund to finance, materials for supplies for the police department, body armor and VOCA and SBAA funds to finance. Do we have any other referrals that need to be addressed? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mr. McKeever, a second by Ms. Sherrick. We are adjourned at
7:57.
7:58.
See you, Dan.